This conference will now be recorded.
Um, Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we're able to hear.
Okay. Okay. So we started with Docker. Um, we tried to create a Docker container, and today we will try to understand more on the networking part of Docker. Okay. So when it comes to networking, so I'll just make a note here. Okay. So Docker networking. So there's a default network in a Docker through which the containers can communicate on the same host. So that is called as a bridge network. It's the default network that is available. Then we have called something called as host network is also there. Overlay network is there. Overlay is basically used when you want to communicate with containers that are on different machines, not on the same host machine. Okay. So this is it's mostly used when you're going with the Docker Swarm mode, right? Docker Swarm mode is some similar to what we have in Kubernetes, right? You're trying to orchestrate, you're trying to manage all your containers, but those containers can be in can be anywhere on with any machine, right? So it can be on cloud, on premises. So you're creating an entire cluster and then you're distributing your containers on the different machines. So in that case, when the containers are not on the same machine, they can reside on different machines, on premises, cloud, desktop, laptop, anything. So that time we go with the overlay network. Okay. Bridge usually likes to communicate on the same same host machine. Okay. There's something called as host also. So this is used when you want to, mostly it is used with the Docker Compose. Let's say Docker Compose. Okay. And Docker Compose in the sense you want to have a workflow of containers. When I say workflow, that means you can have a app container and a database container, right? And you can start these two containers. These two containers are closely linked, right? So app will talk to the database for IO operations. So these two containers, they're separate containers, but they can talk to each other using this host network, and both of them can be started and stopped with a single command, right? So we have a Docker Compose file within which we'll write a we will pull the image for the app and we will set all the parameters. Same for the database, right? So in this scenario, we'll be going with the host network, and the default network that is used to communicate with between the containers is a bridge network. And when you want to um, have your containers distributed over different machines and still you want to communicate between them, then you go with the overlay network. Okay. So this basic understanding, so we'll try to understand. Let's go back here. We will go and see Docker PS. Okay, this was the last container I had created. Now let's pull a container, or let's pull an image, say Docker run. I'll pull an image with Alpine image. Alpine is again a lightweight Linux operating system. So I'll give it a name like say Alpine, say A1, let's say Alpine. And the image name will be Alpine. Just like CentOS you have, right? Alpine is on operating system. So it's a very lightweight one. So we're trying to pull this particular image. So I'm running it in the background. I'm giving it as a name as A1. And the image name I'm trying to pull is Alpine. All right. So it's not there. It is trying to pull the latest one, and the container should be created. Let's go and see that. Okay, you can see that the container is created. Now I want to check the details of this container. Okay, so for that I can go with the command called as docker inspect and give this container ID. Okay, so it will give all the details related to that container. So what is this is the container ID, when it was created, what is the path, any arguments, what is the current state, is it running, yes, true, paused, false, out of memory, whether it was killed or what, it is dead, what is the PID, on the container, there is what is the PID,
So
started, finished. Yeah.
yeah, I mean sudo docker ps is the one command we use to pull out the container ID.
Yeah, it lists all the containers that are running. If you want to also check the containers that are stopped and exited and stopped, you can go with the command -a, which will list all the containers which are stopped, running, which are in a state of exited state. All the containers list you will get it -a. PS will list it. -a will give you all the list which are stopped, running, everything.
Okay.
Okay. See, this is the image ID. So it will give all the details here like this. Driver, overlay, platform, Linux. And coming to the networks part here, you can see that this particular container is attached to a bridge network. Okay, and there is some IP address also for this container. So when we say network, you need to have a gateway and then the IP address and everything. So all these things are taken care by Docker. So you need not worry about the networking part. But only thing we need to know is which network we need to use for the containers. So here we're using bridge, and this is the IP address for the container. Okay, this is the gateway. So likewise, if you want to check the details of any container, so this is the image we have taken, and volume is currently nothing, entry point nothing, and see all these details we can check for a container. All right, so let's do one more thing. Let's create one more container, and we'll try to see how we can ping this container. Okay, we'll create one more container and we'll try to ping this Alpine 1 container. Okay, So for that, let's go and create it. Docker run. I'll give it a name, let's say as A2, and again I'll pull the same image, Alpine. Okay, just yeah, let's run this. Okay, it has created a container. Now let's again run the Docker inspect. Docker inspect, and this is the container ID. Now again, you can see this is also joined the default bridge network, and this is the IP address of the container. See, this is the Alpine image. Just trying to see what is the name here. Did you find the name anywhere here?
Yes, I think it's scrolled up.
Yeah, it's from just yeah. Let's check that.
Slash A2.
Yeah, Alpine A2. Find somewhere.
Yeah,
At the
I
last,
mean,
is it?
no, scroll it down a bit.
This is the end where, right? This is the end.
No, sorry, up.
Uh, this is the one, right? Name. All right. So let's try to ping. Now we know the name, and we also got the IP address. Okay. So what we'll do is let's try to connect to this container. Okay. So for that, let's do this command docker attach. Okay. Now what this attach will do is you can attach to the now this container is running in the background. You cannot see anything, right? So if you see docker ps, so there will be two containers that are running in the background. One is Alpine 1 and Alpine 2, but they're running in the background. Now, in order to connect to an existing or the running container, you can go with a command called as sudo docker attach and connect to the container ID. Right? So now you are into the container. So from here, I'll now try to ping the second container, that is A2. So you can see that it is able to ping A2 container from A1, right? With the IP address, you're able to ping this particular container, right? So I connected to A1. So this is a container ID, and A2's IP address, I tried to ping it. So you can see that it's able to communicate to that container on the same host machine using the bridge network. Okay, there is one more customized network, say apart from bridge. So you can also create your own custom bridge. You can also create your custom bridge. Now the only difference here is with the custom bridge, you'll get little more benefits, right? The benefits in the sense like you can right now in the bridge network, you can ping using the IP address, right? So the containers can communicate using the IP address, right? So using the IP address, they can communicate. But let's say if I go and say ping A2 with the name, if I try to ping it, it's not able to recognize that. Only with the IP address, it's able to communicate. But if I say A2 is the name of the container, so it will not recognize that. The same thing is not the case with the custom bridge. Custom bridge, you can communicate with the IP address and also with the name of container. That means the DNS name resolution happens. DNS is, you'll get the facility of DNS inbuilt with the custom bridge. Okay, so this is the advantage going with the custom bridge. Now let's go and create a custom bridge and see how we can create a basically create a network and that to custom, and we'll try to see the difference between that. So in order to exit this container, you can go with the exit command, right? So you'll be back to your host machine. Okay, let's clear this and create a network. So to create a network, we have a command called as docker network. So before, okay, let's go with the docker network ps. I think what's that command to list all the networks? Docker ls. Okay, docker list ls. Okay, you can see here if I want to check all the networks that are available currently. So this is the bridge network that I was talking about. This is a network ID. There is a host network, this one, and there is some name as none and driver is nothing, none there. So let's go and create one more network. Create so you need to give what is the bridge. Let's look at the help option once. Okay, you need to give the driver name. So default is bridge and the name of the network. So let's go with the sudo docker network. Okay, -d. I will go with the bridge network, and the name I need to provide. So let's say my custom bridge. Okay. So I need to go with the my network and the command as create. What about the name? Let's see. Okay, so now it has created the network. Okay, let's go and check it. Let's clear this and go with the sudo docker network list. You should see the custom bridge network that we have created here. And there are options also when you're creating the network, you can provide the subnet, what will be the range of your network and things like that. So that you can run it from, there are options we can provide like network. The create option, if you go and see, there are options wherein you can provide the IP range, right? What will be the gateway, subnets, and all the details you can provide here, right? So when you're creating the network only. So default, now it will take a range and it will create the network. But we're mostly interested in to see the what are the options or the benefits that custom bridge is providing. Okay, so now let's clear this. We'll go with the Docker PS, and okay, one of the container is already gone. Now if I want to remove this container, I'll go with the command rm, and I want to force remove this because it is running, right? So if you simply go with remove, it will say that the container is running. So you say the container is running. So you have to stop it first and then remove it, or you can force remove using the -f command so that it will be deleted. Now if I go with docker ps, you can see that there is no container running. I can also remove this. Okay, let it be this one. Okay, now let's go and run the same Alpine container. Okay, I'll give it as a name A1, and network is the one we created, right? So that ID we need to provide, or you can say my custom bridge network, and then finally Alpine. I'll go with the Alpine image. Okay, A1 is already in use. Right, let's go with A3 and A4. Let's go with A3. Okay, so it has created the container. Now let's go and create one more container, and that is A4. Okay, it's created. Let's go with the docker inspect once, or we can go with sudo let's inspect this container. Okay, so it is part of the custom bridge, and this is the IP address of this container, right? So if I go with okay, so let me connect to this sudo docker attach clear this sudo docker ps. I'll connect to one of this container, let's say A4. So for that, I'll go with sudo docker attach container ID. Okay, so from here, I will ping A3. So you can see that it is now able to ping A3 with the container name as well. I can even ping with the IP address. Let's go here and ping it. Should also ping with the IP address. Right, so it's always recommended that whenever you are creating a bridge network, so go with the customized bridge rather than the default bridge that is provided by Docker. So the name resolutions and all, we can directly give the name. Let's say you want to ping another container on the same host machine, then you can simply go with the name, and that should work, rather than you don't have to remember the IP address. Because what happens is when the container is destroyed, again you create one more container, then it is very much this IP address will change every time. So it's not recommended that again you go and wherever you're trying to communicate with one container, then you keep on, you have to go and change the IP address, right? Because it is destroyed and created again, the IP address keeps changing. So that is not the best way. Best way is just using the name. Internally, the IP address might keep changing. You'll not be bothered with that, right? So customized bridge is the best option there. Okay, any questions till this point? So is
No.
is this concept clear there? And
So far, yes.
okay, right. So we will continue with the presentation. Let's see. There's okay. So this is one of the important say the important concept that you need to know in Docker. And there is one more concept that is called as the entry point and the command. So that also mostly you need to know, they will ask to differentiate if any interview questions, right? So one is the networking part. So they will ask the difference between the default. Sometimes they may ask what is the default difference between the default and custom bridge. Okay, so this might this example what we have seen right now, right? You'll be able to explain them with this one. So one on the networking part they might ask. And one more question that is very common nowadays is entry point, difference between the entry point and CMD command, right? The difference between these two, entry point and the CMD. Okay. So we will have a look at this one, what it means, but we'll also have a look at the next concept, and we'll again come back to the entry point and CMD. Okay, so far what we have done is, so we have created so if I want to write it down, so we have created Docker images, Docker image using Docker file. So you should be at least comfortable creating a Docker file. So they might ask you to, I'm not sure how it goes the interview, but they might ask you to create, if it is face-to-face or something there, you might be asked to write a Docker file or how you create an image. So be familiar with at least 3 to 4 examples, like go with Apache image, or let's say some Tomcat image. So at least be familiar with some of these Docker files, right? Creating Docker file for these images, right? At least 3 to 4. Okay, and then one is a Docker file we have seen. Then running the containers, how you run the containers, and then the networking part. And after that comes the Docker Swarm mode. Okay, the Docker Swarm mode is what we are trying to now understand. Docker Swarm. Okay, so this Docker Swarm is we can define it in a way like it is out of the box, like Docker provides a tool to manage all the containers. Okay, they were looking at the scenario like your containers can reside on any node machine. So right now I'm running my containers on only one host machine. Okay, so in order to not restrict running your containers on only one host machine, you can create a cluster of node machines or worker machines, and your containers can reside on all those worker node machines. And that machines again are not restricted. They can be on premises. On premises is like the data centers we have. Data centers where we have each company will have their own data centers, or it can be on cloud also, right? So it can be a combination of mix of on premises node machines and on premises and the cloud, right? So you want to manage these containers which are residing in different locations and different machines and things like that, right? So for that, Swarm mode is the the tool that is provided by Docker, using which you can schedule, you can manage your containers, um, which can reside in different machines, right? So that's what we're trying to understand. And the same competitor right now in the market, we have Kubernetes. The Kubernetes, when we say, you might have a different idea, it is simply same what Docker Swarm provides. We're trying to orchestrate the containers, manage the containers. When we say manage, it manages how you deploy the containers, the security, the policies, and scheduling of the containers, right? So all this part becomes how you manage your containers. So Kubernetes is again, it's developed by Google, and now it's open source, and it's being widely used there. And still there is a debate whether the Docker Swarm is better or Kubernetes is better. Nowadays, Kubernetes is getting more popular because of the robustness, and it's a community edition, and it is getting developed at a rapid pace. So we will still try to understand Docker Swarm, what it does. It might be, basically it is applicable whenever you go with the small projects. So Docker Swarm is good with those small projects. But if your application and if you want to scale and you want more flexibility and things like that, then you go with the Kubernetes. Okay, if you have a plan of expansion, you know that your project will expand, you want to manage a bigger systems and things like that, then you go with the Kubernetes. Okay, so we'll try to understand how the Docker Swarm looks like, what is clustering, how the clustering looks like. So we'll try to understand this concept of Docker Swarm. Okay. Also, the benefits of Docker Swarm is that you want to, let's say I have one container that is running. Now, based on the requirement, I want to scale up. I want to scale from 1 to 5, 5 to 10 or something like that. So with a single command, I can run a command that will create same replicas of my containers, 10, 20, 25, whatever I want, whatever number I give, I can create it. And again, if I want to scale it down also, with a single command, I can scale down the containers. Okay. So let's have a look at this, what the concept of Docker Swarm is. So this is how it looks like. This, you can think of a cluster, right? In the cluster, we are having one manager node and multiple worker nodes will be there, right? These are like worker nodes. You can think of a machine. It can be a virtual machine, desktop, laptop, basically one machine, right? It can be in cloud, or it can be on your machine if you have installed a Linux machine, Linux server or anything. That also can become a worker node. Okay. So you'll have a series of worker nodes and a manager node, and all this becomes a part of the swarm, and from there you try to manage the containers. Okay. So let's try to create a swarm mode in Docker, and then we will try to create some containers. We'll scale up and scale down the containers, right? So this is basically how it looks like. One is the manager node, and remember that manager node will from that manager node only we'll be running all the commands to manage all the worker nodes, right? So that's why it is called as a manager node. Okay. Now let's go and create a swarm node. So for that, we have a command called as docker swarm initialize and advertise address, and we'll give the name of the manager IP. Okay. So let's go with this command. I need this IP address. I'll copy the IP address. You can go with the swarm and help mode. So in this, you can see there is an option command for initializing the Docker swarm. So we'll go with that command, Docker swarm init. Okay, so we'll go with, we have copied the IP address, right? So let's go with the IP address. Before that, we will go with the, can even go with the help option here to check the details what the init is providing. So in the initializing the swarm, we want to advertise the address, right? So this I can take it from here. Okay, so advertise the address, and then I can provide the IP address. Go here, copy the IP address, and paste it here. All right, it's saying swarm is initialized with a simple command, and the current node machine is now a manager machine, right? So to add a worker to this swarm, run the following command. Okay, so this, let me copy it. I might need it. So just if I go here, so this command I'll be running on the other machine to join the swarm. So let's go and connect to, there is one more machine I have here. So this will be my worker machine. So I'll copy this, connect to this one. Okay. So this command I've copied here, right? I'll be running this command. So I can run swarm, so it is not joined. There is some error here. So that error might be because of the IP address. This 2377 might not be open. So we need to go to the firewall and open that port. Okay, 2377 is now available. Let's go and run this command now. Okay, so now it's saying this node is already part of the swarm because we have enabled the port. So it is retried to connect it, and now it has become part of the swarm. So I can go with the Docker info to get the details here. Let's see, containers running. Swarm is still showing as error. Is manager false? This is the node address. I think it has not updated. So if I go back here, let's leave the swarm and again we'll join it. Okay, so for that we'll go with the sudo. Okay, we will leave the swarm and let's run the command again to join the swarm. Right, you can see now saying this node join the swarm as a worker node. So the same you can see in the Docker info. Okay. Now the swarm is active. This is the node ID, and is manager is saying false. That means it is the worker node. This is the node address, and this is the manager address we have. This is the manager address. It's trying to connect. Right. The same thing you can go Docker info and run on the manager machine as well. So if I go to this manager machine and say sudo docker info, so I should be able to see the details here. Already there are 13 containers available and 2 of them are running. 11 are stopped. This many images I have, and the storage driver is overlay. Swarm mode is active. Node ID is manager is true, and this is a cluster ID. This is a cluster ID, and we have currently one manager and 2 node machines are there, including the manager and the worker node 2. There is currently 2 node machines. This is the default address pool we have, subnet size and details all you can see here. Okay, so let's go with, so what we have done is Docker info. We can even check the nodes list using the node ls command. So if I go and clear this, so if I go with this command, it will say that there are 2 machines. One is the manager and the other one is the worker node there. And both are now available and they're active. So these are the IDs for those node machines. Okay. Right. So the next thing is now we have to add a service to this swarm. Service is again like you have a container. Now the container by itself you cannot communicate by you. Let's say there is a container running on the node machine, and I want to communicate with that container, right? So directly you cannot communicate because you have to go via the host and then connect to the container, right? But if you want to run that container and available on the network, if you want to make your container available on network, then you have to expose it as a service, right? Service is again just on top of the container, you're creating this layer of service by which you can communicate with your container on the internet, right? And using this service also you can scale up and scale down. Container level you cannot do the scale up and scale down. On the service level you can scale up and scale down, right? So for that reason we will go and now deploy a service, right? Internally the service will have again the image from which we'll be creating the service, right? So let's take any example. Like this is one of the example, like Docker service create. I want a replica one. I'll give a name like this one. I'll take the Alpine as the image, and I'm going to ping. There is some command I want to run when the container is created. Right, so this, let me take this. You can take any example, like this is one of the simplest example I'm taking. I will go it run on my this is the manager machine, right? So let's go and run this command here. So what it will do is it will pull the Alpine image if it is not there, and the name of the container will be hello world, and it will run this particular command when the container is created. So what it is saying is service has converged. That means the service has been created. So if you want to go and check the service, go with the service list. Okay, so this is a service that is running. This is the name of the service. Currently there is one replica, and it is this particular image that is running. Okay, let's say if I want to check the service, we can say with the Docker service PS. And this is the ID I can provide here. So currently it is running with this particular name. This is the image, and it is currently running on the node machine as CentOS. It is running on this CentOS. Now, instead of one replica, let's increase the replica. So for that, I go with sudo docker service scale. I want to scale it to 3. I think I need to provide the scale service ID equals to the number. Okay, so I can go with the service ID. This is the service ID. I'll take it, and I'll say either you can take a service ID or you can give the name as well. Hello world equal to 3. Okay, so again, if I run this command, so you should see that there are now 3 replicas that are running. One is running on this manager machine, and 2 replicas are running on the instance one. That is the worker node. The same way you can scale it down as well. So currently there are 3, right? So if I want to say make it as 5, I can increase it as well. So it will run 5 instances. If I want to check it, so it will run 5 instances. 3 are running on CentOS. So it will automatically allocate, it will automatically schedule. So based on the CPU and memory of that particular node, what it will do is Docker Swarm will take care of scheduling the containers on the machines, right? So based on, any question there?
Yeah, so whenever we give the number, it will automatically replicate because
Yes.
we already created 3 and we gave
Mhm.
5. It's supposed to be 8, but now it is again 5. So
Yeah, it goes with it'll check whether when we say total 5, so it doesn't matter already. There might be 1 running, 2 running. Finally, it will try to match the number there. already 3 are running, 4 are running, if I give it as 5, it doesn't add to the existing one. So totally 5 containers is what I want, right, at any point of time. So already 3 were running. When I say 5, so it will see that 5 containers is what I want at the end of the day. Like, so it will not add to the existing containers. 3 are running. If I say 5, it doesn't go and create another 5, right? It will see that a total 5 should be running at any point of time.
Okay, but only one, say like hello world one, that one is actually showing the current status as 3 minutes. Rest everything is like recreated now, or why only one didn't like?
This was the first container when we created, right? We just went with one replica. So that was created long back, like 3 minutes back. And then we went and created instance, we scaled it to 3. So that those 2 are running a minute ago. And the remaining 2, we again scaled from 3 to 5, right? So it is saying running 9 seconds ago. So these are the latest containers that are created, right?
Okay.
And these,
Can you put
yeah,
sudo docker service scale hello world equal to 6? Let me see
yeah,
what will happen.
yeah. So it should
This is
create,
the,
should
6.
create just one more. Should see that. So if I go back and now check, you can see that this is the one that is now created, 6th one, and it is running on instance 1, and just it is created 9 seconds, and remaining all are created like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and this is the oldest one.
Okay.
So what happens is it automatically, see, we don't have to worry about on which node it has to create. So those scheduling part, right? So what it does is Swarm, it will check for the CPU and the memory of the node. Let's say, for example, CentOS 2 is having let's say 4 CPU and 10 GB of RAM, right? And instance 1 is having a memory of, let's say, 2 CPU and 5 GB of RAM. So based on the node capacity, so it will schedule the containers. It will know, okay, instance 1 maximum it can schedule 3 or 4 containers. So it will put the maximum load on CentOS because it is having more capacity of in terms of CPU and memory. So that scheduling part is taken care by the Swarm. So you don't have to worry. Only thing you need to say is I want to scale to this level, and it will be taken care of. Scheduling on which node machine, you don't have to worry there. So based on those node machines capability on CPU and memory, it will automatically be scheduled there, right? You can also give in more details, like when you are creating the service, you can also say take this much of CPU and this much of memory, right? Like yesterday we were talking about. Now we will talk more about this memory and CPU because that is important. Because creating service and all this is very simple. Like you can just go and just run a command, it will create it. But the main challenge comes how you're managing all those containers. Okay, I run this command, service is created, everything is done. Now the challenge comes wherein how you update your containers on the production or on any of the environments, because um, developers are continuously working on some of the changes. They change it. When they change it, you have to deploy it as a container, right? In any of the environment. There comes the challenge, like what is your strategy of deployment? How frequently you deploy, and what is the strategy you follow for deployment of containers? So there are different strategies that you need to understand. Like now the things are getting popular, like canary deployments, blue green deployments, red, green, I can say there is red, black deployment is there, right? Rolling updates is there. So there are different types of deployment strategies are there. Depending on the situation, like on the project and on the what type of project you are going with, what is the client requirements, can you withstand the downtime when you're deploying, depends on what type of how much traffic is coming to your application. So taking into consideration all these factors, what we'll be doing is we will be deploying with the different strategies, rolling updates. Sometimes, let's say there'll be one more topic that I'll take on the deployment strategies. So I'll just I'm giving you an overview of what the strategies are all about, and that's very important because this anybody can do this, just going and deploying, running the command, it's all done. So the main important thing you need to understand is the deployment strategies. So that's what if you explain in the interview, there you'll get more no more points saying that okay, you have deployed your containers on Swarm. Also, you have managed how you're deploying and updates, how you're updating your containers, right? So that's where the important part lies when you're talking about Docker containers. Okay, so that we will take in the tomorrow's session because already we have gone through a lot of things. So just digest all these things. Tomorrow we will try to understand more on the deployment strategies, rolling updates, how you update. Now, once the container is there, now I have to maintain and update these containers, right? So that how it is being done, right? What is the strategy you're using to maintain your containers? Okay, so that we'll see in the tomorrow's session, and also we'll have a look at the important question, that is again the entry point and the CMD, and also the deployment strategy. Okay.
Okay. And one last question. When we created the swarm, you copied the command, right? Docker swarm join and all. So what if we didn't copy that? Can we actually get that from somewhere? Or is
There
it a
is
mandate step?
the token, right? You're saying about the token that we copied here, right?
Yes.
This basically there is a way. I think you need to store it, otherwise it will be lost. So this token you need to store the token into some kind of a variable or something. Otherwise, without this token, you'll not be able to join the swarm. So you need to store this token somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So you need to store it, and only then you'll, let's say another node machine, I want to join the swarm, then using this token only I can join it. Maybe this might expire. I'll have to look at it because I'm also not too sure what happens, like it might expire or something like that. Then I'll have a check on that one. So that's a good
Okay.
question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just wanted to know if we by chance missed that, so if we can retrieve it or get that. So that was the question. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Let me have a look at it. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I've read it somewhere that it might expire, but I'll have a look at it.
Okay.
I'll see what are the options we have with the token and how we can store it. And if let's say today I'll have 2 nodes, tomorrow I might have one more node. Like how do I maintain this token and everything, right? So let
Okay.
me have a look at it. Maybe tomorrow I'll get the details by tomorrow, right?
Okay. Thank you, Viresh.
Viresh, did you check my resume?
Yes, I had a look at it, so I wanted to discuss on that one. So if everybody, I think that's the end of the session today. So if you want to wait on the call, I want to discuss with the
Okay.
resume.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for joining. Then let's join a little early tomorrow. Is it
Okay.
okay?
9
So that
o'clock. I mean, 30
um
minutes earlier. Or
yeah, 30 minutes earlier. Yeah, I think we are
okay.
lagging behind. So let's catch up with the things. Right, there are a lot of things to cover. We still have Kubernetes and Ansible, so that's a lot of things. Okay, so we'll catch up half an hour earlier tomorrow then. Okay, thanks
Okay.
everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and because we'll be there, let
Yeah.
me open the resume. Okay. I think this one. One thing I noticed quickly, Vikas, is there is the project details and durations are not properly mentioned. So that's the one thing I found, which I think needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 1 second.
Yeah, you're able to see the screen right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, this,
Okay, 1 second.
yeah, even the summary part, right? Okay, just give the just initial. It's all merged with the summary only. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take
The thing,
let's
once I have updated it a bit. Let me,
mhm, mhm.
1 second.
Or if you want to share your screen, that's also fine. Let me make you as a uh,
Um,
or let's go with some of the sample resumes I have. You'll get an idea, and
Actually,
then
I've
you can.
updated the dates and everything, so it's easy for us to go ahead. If you want,
Mhm.
let me 1 second. I think I can send you in the chat.
I don't think so. You can add in the chat window. Let's try that. Let's see.
1 second.
I got some this not sample, but these guys also have done like their resumes. So if you want for a reference, I can share it. Uh, these are also like 7 years experience guys. Like yeah, something like this. Like yeah, if you have any certifications that add it here, uh, tools you can put it. And okay, like this something. What is the client? What was the role? Till date, right? Like this something. Maybe we might have already added. Like see this one. It's a client. What is the role?
1 second. Is Bhumesh in the line?
I don't see that. Yeah, he's there, I guess. Maybe he might not be. He might be on mute. So there's. You can share your screen because if that helps, or I can send across some sample resumes to Bhumesh, or he'll forward it to you.
Yeah, if
So
you
you
want,
have.
you can put as a presenter. I will share it. No problem.
Yes, that will be better. Let me make you as a presenter. 1 minute. No, I think you're the presenter now, but you're on mute. You're on mute because probably.
It's
Okay.
good, right? Yeah?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Mhm. Mm. Okay, build, and I think now nobody is asking on the build and release management, so I can just mention as a DevOps engineer. So build and release management is very old, so they'll not even bother if you write as release management. Yeah,
Okay.
just take that away. Yeah. The rest of the things will all be like a standard, like AWS stuff and Puppet, Chef. Yeah, that all looks fine. Only concern I had is on that projects duration. Any technical skills you made any column where you're mentioning? Ah, this is the one, technical skills. Okay. MySQL, Jenkins, Chef, Terraform, Puppet. Yeah, all this is fine. Nagios, yeah, that's all fine. You haven't mentioned Kubernetes somewhere? Container tools, Kubernetes and all is not mentioned, right?
Yeah, I
Docker
mean,
is there. Yeah, maybe the Kubernetes might add somewhere there, I guess.
yeah, maybe. In build tools, not in, we can't put in build tools. Kubernetes, we can't put in
Um,
build tools, right?
you can say like cloud. What do you have it in the cloud part?
Here, here. We put this back
Cloud
here.
build. So build tool Jenkins and all you added there? No, build tools. What about the yeah, Jenkins you not mentioned?
Jenkins.
No, it's not there. Can say yeah. CIC, yeah, you already there, no? CI/CD tools. I think you mentioned there. CI/CD Jenkins is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm trying to put is Docker is there, and you said me the remaining.
Yeah, Kubernetes you can add. I think there. K. It starts with K. Yeah, Kubernetes. Yeah. NETS. And there was some spelling mistakes. Maybe you can run a spell check again. So just to make sure that all the spellings are correct. CentOS, it's O is small. It's a continuous OS. Yeah. There's no space between cent. Yeah. No, that's fine. Kubernetes, NETES. NETES. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. So latest one is the DevOps engineer. Okay, migration. All right. So you will be able to justify that, right? Might be because this is the on top of your work experience, and you added migration of on-premise existing application to AWS cloud. So you have any idea?
Really, I need to. I mean, I put a 7th place, but I'm looking as a junior only.
Okay, but migration again is a very big word. So they might ask what you migrated and what was your role in that one. Uh, so what was the architecture on premises? How you migrated? What all you migrated to AWS cloud? Is it database, application tier, web tier,
Nice.
logs?
Remove this, right?
Yeah, it's a very unless see that's a very beginning of the first one, right? So it might strike them and they might start asking question on that. So unless you're prepared, then don't put those details like that. Okay, I think rest of the things are all standard. Can just scroll it. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see any problem with that. Just a spell check here and there. So
Okay.
that's the only problem. But otherwise, the format and things look, the content looks all good. Yeah, somewhere the spell check is there, right? So that's run a spell check. I think it should be good to go.
So year-end dates also I have updated in this one. The one which I sent you was not the final copy actually.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
just
That's fine.
I was just I mean dragging here and there all I mean all the sentence and everything. So sent
Yeah,
you.
that's okay. That's the
It's almost
draft
same, but
copy. Like,
years and something.
yeah, I only difference I can find now is the project details have come in, the dates have come in, the technical skills, and yeah, the environment and things like that. Yeah, email and the phone address. Yeah, I think it looks good. Uh, that's how the standard template it goes there, right? They need all those.
Pajamas or pajamas?
I don't know what it is. Probably you need to delete that. Maybe Python libraries, you can say. No need to mention what it is and stuff like that.
Okay. Here, the lot of, I mean, lot of them are coming on Python only here.
I think yes, like they want to customize a lot of things, and if you're going on a junior level, I think you should be still okay saying that you are good with the shell scripting, but we never know. Like Python is, yeah, they're asking about Python. So we can't escape, but at least if you're good and strong in other areas, they can still say okay, Python, at least shell scripting, you can still work with that. But nowadays it is getting they want cloud, Kubernetes, Terraform, Python, Jenkins. These things are becoming now mandatories. Um,
So, and one last thing, I'm sorry, I really, 1 second, just give me I stored this one for myself itself. 1 second. It's, sorry. I saw one of it. I mean, I was thinking if that was a what do you say, junior level or something like that, because I see a couple of them, the
mhm,
roles, just like they are asking for something Linux coding, and no need of hands-on experience, just the knowledge on
okay.
networking mode. And they were asking something Python
Mhm,
scripting, good knowledge on Python scripting, and just the
mhm,
DevOps thing. I mean, nothing
mhm.
much. He was asking for maybe 5 years experience, 4 to 5 years experience on DevOps
Mhm.
tools. Was Yeah, I just stored it, but I forgot
Okay,
where I put
okay. I think that.
this.
How is the job market? There is still lots of opportunities for DevOps guys, I guess.
It's not ever really about DevOps, but it's totally about all other
Mm,
stuff. There was, I mean, maybe layoff layoff starts from April, because totally
Is it?
10% of Sensex has been dropped down. I think in the last 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
Sensex lost
Correct.
almost 1.5 trillion
Mm-hmm.
dollars. It's almost one fiscal year
Oh,
budget of US.
wow. Wow.
There's a huge
Then
loss. You know,
the
the Ford shares used to be something around $850 per share. It dropped to
mm-hmm.
$25. He lost almost one
My God.
14 to 18 billion dollars in 1 week. He's in loss.
Just because of this corona stuff
Yes.
that's going on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then that's
Almost all of
really
the.
very
I mean, I
worst
lost
one of
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Almost
I,
all of them are, I mean, shutting down. I mean, the restaurants, everything. You know, main thing is not the software here. Main thing is restaurant
mm-hmm.
and transport.
Mm-hmm.
If those things stop, nothing gonna happen here.
Oh,
The food and transport system, if they stop,
oh,
and
it's
nothing gonna.
really mhm. Mm. If the restaurants are shut down, then nothing works there. You're saying
Yeah,
food and transport both.
yeah, both has to be keep on
Oh,
running.
but it's really bad. Mm, mm. But see, all these restaurants, they are self-sufficient, right? At least they can run even in this. Okay, right now it's like little panic situation. Maybe it might run another 15 days or 1 month or 2 months. It will take time, but people are very scared. They're taking out their money from the share market. It's really uh,
I mean, everything is
bad
going
situation.
down on that. So, yeah, here it
Mhm.
is. Can you have a
Mhm.
look on
Okay, primary responsibility is automating and orchestrating workloads on AWS, hands-on experience, configuration management tool, deployment, shift puppet, hands-on, at least one they're saying, right?
that? Yeah.
So at least one of the following: Python, Node.js, Ruby, Java, proficient with Git and Git workflows, Docker files, container creation, that we are good with, proficiency. Okay, that we can't do anything. Leveraging automated test tools to automate testing. Okay, that we can use in the pipeline. Lead in design development, deployment process. Okay, CI/CD pipelines, configure Kubernetes clusters, uh, Jenkins, Cucumber. Okay, again, what they're saying, same thing. All right. So that's okay. Maybe you can say you not aware with Python, but I don't know how the question and interview will go
I
about. But
don't know. This project, I think it's a new company or something like that. I mean,
Mhm.
he's asking everything about install configure. That's what
Exactly.
I
I
was
think it's
thinking.
very
So,
basic level. Basic
yeah,
level.
basic
Yeah.
level, and he's asking
Mhm.
for in-person interview. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, if it is the basic level thing, mostly he gonna ask those installation and all the stuff, the coding stuff. I think.
Exactly.
I mean, how you
Exactly.
gonna pull up and how you gonna push everything. So I
Correct.
was
Correct.
thinking to make a submission and get it done. I mean, let's
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. Yes. 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 But how quickly you'll get an interview call? Like if you apply for this, like
I
you
mean,
haven't
in
started.
person, basically in person, they'll give 2 weeks time because, according to my location, I'm in Texas, and right now all the flights and airports are shut down. So
Correct,
they need
correct,
to give
correct.
me 2 weeks at least.
At
So
least
I have some
because,
time to get it done. That's
mm,
why.
okay, okay, okay. And I think that should be good. I think because maybe this at the basic level, right? So whatever, it looks good. Um, by the time we would have also completed Kubernetes, and then you should be in a good position to at least tackle most of the questions here, I think. Yeah.
Because I am seeing the primary responsibilities also. They were asking for install, configure, and manage Kubernetes cluster
Same thing.
support.
Yeah.
Same, everything is installation and configure.
Yeah, and most of the things you can see on Kubernetes only. Kubernetes and Docker files creation, image, CI/CD, Kubernetes. That's a majority of the part. And yeah, 70% is that only. So I think we should be getting into the main concepts now. Already we have seen the Docker, right? Maybe one more class, and tomorrow we'll jump start with the Kubernetes again. Try to understand the Kubernetes part.
Okay, then. So I'm trying to apply for this one.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll put you back as a representative. So just stop sharing screen, or
That's okay. You want to discuss anything? I think we went through the resume, right? There's nothing much to change
yeah.
there. Um, yeah, I think we need to cover a lot of topic. That's the only point here now. From the interview perspective, we'll yeah, get started with the Kubernetes, Docker. Almost it is done. Just some of the concepts there.
So actually,
And
I had a couple of questions actually. This week, if you have any extra time, we'll put one day just for
Mhm,
how, I mean, I meant to ask is, I entered the work environment and I have given a system, and how that system
mhm,
gonna be set up? Is they gonna install everything, or do I need to start as a fresh installation and creating everything? How it's gonna be? I mean, we had some, me and Karthik were discussing about these things. We had some doubts like that on the live
mhm.
environment. Mm, I mean, if you can
When it
pull up some time on the weekend or any time,
Mhm,
maybe 30
mhm.
minutes earlier, we'll.
Yeah, we could, yeah, definitely. So what we'll do is, okay, um, let's say, I think we missed two classes. One is on the Friday and the other one on the Sunday,
Yeah,
right?
that was because of
So
me only.
yeah, like
The
yeah.
Friday evening, they keep on pushing me to stay some more time. That's a problem. And
Hmm.
Sunday, I say them not to put the schedule, but they put me on. I can't.
Uh, no, I had because for me, right, it's in the morning time anyway. Sometimes, and it is weekend. If yeah, what happens is I need to. Okay, work days I usually get up the same time in the morning.
No